As far as I'm concerned, you're already completed.
Ada satu yang saya pengen lihat.
Honorable ladies and gentlemen, please be seated because we will start the event in a few minutes. The Honorable CEO and Dean of International Mulia Winata and Professor John Miwela, the Honorable President Director and General Manager of Gramedia Pustaka Utama, Mr. Wandi S. Brata and Mrs. Siti Gretiani, the Honorable CEO GE Indonesia, Mr. Handry Satriago and our famous motivator, Mr. Wayah S. Wiroto, the Honorable alumni and colleague of IPMI International Business School, the Honorable Representative of Kompas Morning Daily, Kompas.com, Tempo, SWA, Fortune Magazine, BUMN Magazine, Business Indonesia, Sindo News, Info Gading, and Google Magazines, and our dearly guests. Good afternoon and welcome to a cup of sharing with IPMI International Business School. We are very grateful to have you all here, and especially to have Mr. Handry Satriago as our speaker and Mr. Wayah S. Wiroto as our moderator for today. Our topic today is very special, related with the launching of Mr. Handry new book, Sharing. Without further ado, we would like to invite our CEO of IPMI International Business School, Mrs. Yana Mulyawinata, to give a welcoming speech.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Selamat siang, Bapak Ibu, and welcome friends, alumni, faculty, students, and industry leaders. And welcome Pak Dwi from Telkom, is our industry partners. And currently we are working closely also to exploring some engagement with IPMI and Telkom. Thank you, Pak. Actually, we are still in the meeting, so we having a break for meeting just to hear the wisdom for Pak Handry. So first of all, thank you very much for Pak Handry. So we really very honored having you for today and also sharing about your wisdom, your experience, your patience in leadership. Really, this is a very good event for us, and we can learn from the best and learn from expert. So personally, when I read your book, I feel very lot of mixed feeling. One side I feel very happy, one side very like you can smile, you can just feel sad, you can feel like got mixed feeling because of a very touchy book and very down to earth with a very light or kind of a very understanding wording one by one. So feel very inspired by reading your book. So I feel very blessed as a personal and also as a IPMI International Business School can having you to share your wisdom here. So hopefully all your experience and leadership patience you can share to all the IPMI friends and alumni here, and can bring more people more inspired, more motivated by all your patient in kind of your leadership. So we as an IPMI management, we feel very proud you as an alumni and as our faculty also very supportive to the school, and we look forward to have more alumni and more people like you can contribute to IPMI International Business School. So for those friends that haven't come to IPMI, so just a brief information. Actually, we are in the stage of the transformation to transform the school, and we are also welcoming you. If you have time later, you can go around to our campus to see our new infrastructure. So this is really just a very brand new renovated school. Currently we have about 15 classrooms. So we do have our program for our bachelor, our master, and hopefully soon we will have our PhD program. In the hope of having the new license for PhD program. On top of the degree program, actually also we do have some of the executive education with the open enrollment and also with the customized program. And soon also in this coming, I'm doing the commercial break by the way. Sorry, Pak Handry. So in this soon coming of October and November, we will running the executive education with Melbourne Business School. So 1 week in IPMI and 1 week in Melbourne. So please welcome. If you have interest later, our team also will email blast you or will send you some information about the program. It will be very nice program. So 1 week will be conducted by IPMI faculty. Now we are in also want to steal Pak Handry's time to be one of the faculty for this IPMI week. Still fighting for the time, yeah. Finding his time is very difficult. But by having kind of partners with all these top university and school, we also want to make sure that IPMI is ready to the market to provide the high quality education with the high quality international standard. Because we want to make sure to do the work that Indonesia is ready to provide the high quality education. And also we want to tell to the market that you don't need to go overseas, because currently here in Indonesia we can provide also such kind of the high quality international education with the international standard, international curriculum, international flavor, international ambience, dan international qualification. And currently also we are in the stage of exploring or engaging or part of the accreditation for international on top of the national accreditation. So hopefully we also will start the accreditation for AMBA, the AMBA 1, and later on goes to EQUIS and AACSB. And the good news for alumni and students and also for the prospective students, we are having some of the commitment. Even we already signed the MOU with the top school from overseas, like Neoma Business School, Anante, and NPC, Catholica Business School, Kellogg Business School, and the Melbourne Business School. So kind of this partner that we want to bring to IPMI to leverage and also to bring some value for our students, faculty, and our future students. So hopefully, with all your support, so we are expecting that we can bring IPMI to the next level. So again, thank you Pak Handry and Pak Waya to make yourself available today, and please enjoy the show.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Diana Mulyawanata. And we would like also to invite the President Director of Gramedia Pustaka Utama as the publisher of Sharing Book, Mr. Wandi S. Brata.
Bapak Ibu, selamat sore. Pak Handry, sebagai wakil Gramedia, saya ingin mengucapkan selamat pada atas sharing ini. Tema ini saya mau eksplor benar-benar, dan nanti ujung-ujungnya saya akan menuntut. Saya minta maaf, saya dalam bahasa Indonesia saja. Begini Bapak Ibu sekalian, kalau buku itu cermin dan salah satu tolok ukur pendidikan, dan kalau pendidikan itu salah satu cermin dan tolok ukur kualitas SDM, saya ingin sharing dan akhirnya nanti akan menuntut Bapak Ibu sekalian, karena ada data yang sangat memprihatinkan. 2012 produksi buku kita 22.000. 2013 produksi buku kita 24.000, kenaikan 2.000 in terms of title, new titles. Ya. Tetapi, nah ini tetapinya, angka ini adalah angka yang cuma sedikit lebih baik dibandingkan dengan Malaysia, Filipina, Vietnam. Itu kalau omong mengenai jumlah. Kalau omong mengenai yang diterbitkan, jumlah per judul, Gramedia minimumnya 5.000 untuk hitam putih, 7.000 untuk full color. Penerbit-penerbit di Jogja kecil-kecil yang jumlahnya ratusan, itu bahkan ada yang cuma 500, bahkan 1.000 atau 1.500 sudah dianggap oke. Coba Bapak Ibu bayangkan, 250 juta penduduk dihadiri hanya oleh, let's say kalau menggunakan angkanya Gramedia, 5.000. Satu judul harus di-share oleh, satu buku harus di-share oleh sekian banyak. Ya? Jadi kalau omong mengenai itu, pertanyaan besar, Indonesia ini siapapun pemimpinnya mau punya kampanye kayak apa, memprihatinkan. Pendidikan kita, ini tadi buku. Kalau ngomong pendidikan kita, tahun 2011, Global Report yang dikeluarkan oleh UNESCO menyebutkan Indonesia ranking 67 dari 127. 69 dari 127. Jadi setengah di atas sedikit dari grafik. tahun 2011. Tahun 2012, 64 dari 120 negara yang disurvei oleh UNESCO. Berarti juga cuma sedikit tadi, nggak bergerak. Tahun 2013, saya belum mempunyai datanya, UNESCO belum keluarin, tetapi Rektor 11 Maret, Bapak Rafiq Siddiq, Profesor Doktor, menyebutkan kita ini 110 dari 180 negara yang disurvei. Nah, Bapak Ibu sekalian, saya senang sekali hadir di sini. Temanya sharing, dan saya diberitahu bahwa yang hadir di sini adalah manajer ke atas, karena lulusan dari sini paling nggak manajer. Nah, ini mulai tuntutan saya. Mulai kapan Bapak Ibu akan sharing sehingga kita mempunyai publikasi yang akan sekian ratus ribu per tahun, dan kemudian Indonesia bisa memotong proses belajarnya sedemikian cepat sehingga kalau kita bandingkan jumlah yang kita terbitkan dan jumlah penduduknya, ya boleh dianggap wajar. Kapan Bapak Ibu mulai akan menulis dan kemudian akan kita publish? Tidak harus printed. Sekarang bisa Ibu, Gramedia juga mempunyai fasilitas itu, agar pengalaman sekian belas tahun, sekian puluh tahun yang kita miliki, begitu kita dokumen bisa di-share, dan kemudian orang-orang kita bisa belajar cepat dari pengalaman itu, memangkas proses belajarnya, dan kemudian kualitasnya akan naik. Kapan itu Bapak Ibu akan menulis? Kalau sudah, serahkan ke Gramedia, kami akan publish, dan kalau persuasi saya berhasil, Gramedia akan terus eksis juga. Jadi saya akan naik. Jadi Bapak Ibu sekalian, maka tadi saya tidak basa-basi ketika mengucapkan selamat, karena Pak Handry sudah share, dan begitu di-share, begitu publish, bahkan ketika Pak Handry tidur pun bukunya bisa menginspirasi orang lain. Sekali lagi, selamat.
Thank you, Mr. Wandi. We would also like to inform you that with the support of Gramedia, IPMI will have the donation from Gramedia Pustaka Utama. Therefore, we would like to invite Pak Wandi once again on the stage. Also, our Dean, Professor John Miwela, to receive as symbolic dari Gramedia Pustaka Utama to IPMI International Business School. Thank you, Mr. Wati, and also Professor John. Hopefully, please be seated. Hopefully, this book donation is a starter step for both institutions to make Indonesia as a study destination. So I see this audience has been impatient to meet the man of today. Therefore, we would like to invite Mr. Waya S. Wiroto as our moderator for today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Waya S. Wiroto.
Terima kasih. Good afternoon everybody. Selamat sore. Pada hari ini kita akan mendengar rekan saya, mentor saya juga di dalam dunia bisnis, and how to manage business, company, how to grow, how to lead. Jadi pada kesempatan ini kebetulan teman saya, mentor saya juga menerbitkan sebuah buku. Buku ini sudah menjadi bestseller. Kita berikan applause. Sudah mendengar gosipnya bahwa akan dicetak untuk edisi kedua. Jadi pada kesempatan ini mungkin menjadi salah satu pengumuman juga buat Handry ya. When is the English version katanya? We cannot read.
Google Translate, ya Pak.
The book sharing itself is about his life of work, yeah, in his personal and also his business and professional work as well. You can see the book, it is divided into 4 chapters. We will hear from that as Handry will share about his book itself. But the book is inspiring, it's motivating, it's also should be taken into account as a drive on how we lead and grow our business. It's been actually taken from Twitter. Jadi his friend from how many years, Handry? 3 years? Yeah, 3 years from Twitter's, and then friend of him or ponakan kind of like make it all into one book altogether, and the idea came. But before I share all of this, we will hear from him. I will then introduce Handry himself. He's my mentor, he's my buddy as well, but he's also the first CEO of a multinational company from Indonesia. He has grown the business of GE itself, growing I think 3-fold, and he's been very successful, the first Indonesian CEO of GE that can pass the 1 billion mark. Okay, without further ado, let us call Handry to the floor. Yeah, sure. I don't know how we're going to format this. We just start.
Hi everyone, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always it's always an honor to be here, and it's always nostalgic to be here because that's the place that I was always sitting when I was a student of BIPME in 1996. It's a great place because you can go and come anytime you want. So from the innovation point of view, probably MBA school need to make a door not there but probably in front. Well, again, thanks, and thanks, Waya, for a very nice introduction. It's not very often he will say good things about me, as a buddy. And I think the format should be very informal, and feel free to have a discussion about the books, about anything related that if I can answer, then I'll be more than happy to answer. If not, and then I'll ask a lot of friends here, my mentors, guru as well, a lot of friends here. So we can have a discussion. So
Okay.
give it back to you, Pawaya.
Great. Just to kind of like start the discussion, I'd like to ask Handry, why did you use the media of Twitter? That's the first question. Why didn't you use Facebook or other social media, Instagram, or any kind of other type of social media? Why tweet? Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I don't know path. I don't know other. Even I don't have Instagram. I just joined WhatsApp a couple of months ago. I don't know whether you have anything else. What's wrong whatsoever? What's going on? Probably. Tua banget ya bercandanya. And I like Facebook in the beginning, since the beginning, because my senior high school friends, we use that media for joking and for teasing each other. The thing that I cannot use it nowadays because a lot of my friends in the Facebook is very diverse, and even my nieces are there, so I cannot talk dirty on that. I don't know about Twitter before, but then in the last quarter of 2011, I think my company, for those of you who doesn't know where I work for a company called GE, General Electric. Some of my customers say it is generally expensive, and that's fine. We can have a case study about that, and it's become kind of like a corporate initiative that a lot of the leaders in the company was asked to have a blog or tweets, and their tweets normally is very company oriented, introducing new products, telling what's these activities, and so on. And then my corporate manager, communication manager, told me that I have to have a Twitter account, and I said I don't know how to have it. So she created my Twitter account, and then I start doing the tweets, very jaib, it's a very GE things like we have the best gas turbine in the world and those kind of things. But then I start to like it because by the time I tweet, I have some feedback, so it can be interactive. Some of my followers and then make a comment about it. And then when I start to tweet what I think, not the classic tweets like quotes or anything else that you normally put it there, and then I start to have kind of like a discussion. And that's good, I think. And I start to tweet whatever that I think, which is something that being strange, and a lot of my foreigners friends complained to me, said that, man, what are you doing, right? Because that's not common internationally. You don't tweet a lot, right? You don't apa istilahnya? You don't mengotori page of your followers Twitter. The timeline and those kind of things. And I say that, but I think that, damn, if you don't like what I tweet, just unfollow me, right? So this is the most freedom area in the world, Twitter. You can put anything, and if you don't like, just unfollow, right? If you feel insulted, don't follow. So I continue to do that. And I feel like I can share, I can have an interaction, and I don't buy followers. So if you buy followers, you cannot do like what I'm doing, because nobody will have an interaction with you, right? So interestingly, the followers that I have, a lot of them that I know, a lot of them that I meet, I met before, and so I think that's the reason.
Handry's Twitter account has about 11,000 something followers at the present moment, and still very low.
That's nothing compared to Agnes Monica.
I was going to say that. Even with Lady Gaga, it's just way below, because 50 million or something. But let me ask you again on this tweeting. Did you have any ideas that when you start this tweeting activity or your narcissistic activity by tweeting, that it would become a book?
No, I don't have that idea. And like you say,
Really?
Seriously, I don't have an idea. I mean, Ibu Greti from Gramedia was there, and she's an old friend of mine. I published my first book actually here in IPMI, and that book titled Himpunan Istilah Lingkungan untuk Manajemen. One day my friend said that, I saw your book, I bought it in Amazon. And I told him, oh, that's you.
There was only one person.
I think so. So the book is kind of like a glossary, or not a glossary. It's an old version of Wikipedia related to environmental things. I fall in love with that, and then IPMI has Ecolink at the time, the Center for Management of Environmental Management. So I wrote those things. I published the book, and I think you still can find it. You still can find the book in the library here because they bought a lot, and then nobody wants to buy it after that. And when I tweet, you know, one of the followers, which is also my relatives, you know, said that, hey, I think your Twitter is valuable. So why don't you put it on the blog? I said, that's good, but how to make a blog? I don't know how to do it. And I don't have the time to write a blog probably. So he said, I'll collect it. I put it on a website. So he created the website www.handry-satriago.com, and he put all of my tweets there since December 2011. So, and then every weekend I'm a little bit insomniac, and normally on the weekend I have a lot of time, so I write. I do the tweeting. So if you see, I put the Twitter. I tweet on the weekend and also almost midnight. It is actually not trying to be popular because nobody read it at the time, right? But I just wanna express the thing. So he started to collect that, and then one day again I met with Ibu Greti from Gramedia. She's always asking me to do the biography, but so why don't you make biographies? Biography? Not now, you know. It feels like if you go to the bookstore, you see a lot of biographies, and I feel, you know, writing a biography is like of my life. It's kind of like a story of mama or papa. I hate that. So I said that no, not now. Let's see whether I can do something. So she said, why don't you publish whatever you tweet? I said that that's probably a good idea. And then I say to her, let's start. And then by the time we start, it's become a nightmare for her. Because the process is so long. I'm very demanding on many things. I would like to have, you know, the cover like this, and you know, a lot of things that I ask. I run the process of making this book like I run GE. So you can imagine a lot of Six Sigma things over there. I'm kidding you.
Why sharing? Why the title is sharing?
Because it is shared. It is a thought that I like to share, and like I put on the introduction of the book, I like sharing. You know, I feel alive when I share. Everybody has their own purpose of living, right? And you know, for me, if somebody can learn from me, we can grow together. It's good. So that's it. It's become sharing. It was, you know, previously it was what Mbak Greti ada galautology as a title of the book. Oh, it's very, you know, kind of like a very selling, right? I don't think that should be the title. And then there is the followers and leadership and those kind of things. I said, let's focus on sharing. Sharing is what it is actually. So
Okay.
that's the story.
For those of you who haven't read it, the book is actually divided into 4 parts. The first part talks about his life, on how his life is being shaped. Second part is about Indonesia, and also being proud as being Indonesian, and about how the Indonesian fits in with the global world. The third part is about leadership and followership. When I saw the title for the 3rd chapter, I laughed because definitely the title was taken because it was his doctoral degree work in getting the PhD in management, and his thesis was about leadership and followership. And the last part is about if you are leading a company, you need to have a system to shape things up. So it's about strategic management and his thought about it. So our discussion today, we will go through those 4 chapters. Yeah. And if anybody would like to have a question, just raise your hands directly, and then we will have to continue with our discussion with your questions as well. So, first, before I start with the 4 chapters, is there any questions so far that you'd like to ask Handry?
The one that I really wrote is 2. I mean, full author of that. But I'm proud of my previous book, which is published by Tempo Institute. That book is titled Letters from the current leaders to the future leaders. It's a compilation of many letters from about 95 what so-called leaders in Indonesia. We have Chris John writing a letter there. We have it's very, very good. You know, Chris John's letter is very, very good, very down to earth. It's very Chris John. He said that he spent almost all his life on training to become a boxer, right? And one of his sentences there saying that, you know, to be successful, you cannot take the elevator. You have to go to the stairs. And knowing Chris John as a boxer, that's really meaningful. And there is a letter of Jokowi, of course, there. No letter from Prabowo. I don't choose who should write the letter. And then there's a letter from Gita. There's a letter from Lamongan. A lot of people from various background. And also there is a book that I wrote when I was a student. I'm contributor to one of the chapter when I was in IPB program.
Thank you. So let's start with your first chapter. When Handry became the CEO of GE, there was so many articles that was published in the media about it. And one of the most important things about these published articles was about his motivation, his persistence, and people like to understand about what are the challenges that he faced when he became a CEO. So I'd like to hear about it because the first part from your chapter is, I think it's one of the most important life part that you are kind of like experience. So if you could share with the audience here on what are the things that shaped you in becoming a CEO or becoming a person or becoming a leader, will be one of the main points taken into.
Yeah, first chapter a lot about me. I mean, it's something that I'd like to talk. It's about my childhood. When I see a lot of children now spend a lot of their times, you know, studying in the school or, you know, inside the house. So I reflect of my childhood, which is, you know, full of rainbows. I think we have a time to play with kids outside, outdoor, you know, do some naughty things, but also have the capability of you know, slick thinkings and those kind of things. So and also about how do I grown up. I learned a lot from my parents, from my mom. If it is okay, I'd like to read that chapter. Something about my dad. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad is 72 years old now, and he is sick. He's lying in only, you know, able to lie on the bed now. And he's one of my hero in the world. Biar kelihatan kayak apa, bedah buku kan bukunya dibaca gitu ya. So, I'm trying to do that. This is my first time come to bedah buku anyway. So I'd like to read this, and this chapter for me is, unfortunately, this is in Bahasa. You guys okay? Yeah, sometimes life is not fair, right? Okay, page 67. It's about my dad. Papa saya. Saya pernah share di Twitter tentang ibuku dengan segala pengajarannya pada saya. Malam ini saya ingin cerita tentang ayah. Papa saya orangnya keras. Keras hati, keras kepala, keras kemauan, keras bicaranya. Sejak usia muda sudah merantau untuk mengejar mimpinya. Modalnya cuma satu, keberanian menghadapi hidup. Bagi papa saya, mimpi itu harus dikejar agar terwujud. Tanpa pengorbanan, tidak ada yang bisa dihasilkan. Dicucinya kakus rumah orang bule agar bisa belajar bahasa Inggris. Dari papa saya belajar bahwa laki-laki itu dinilai dari tanggung jawabnya. Dari beliau juga saya belajar bahwa belajar tidak harus selalu dari bangku sekolah. Papa saya juga mencontohkan belajar itu berarti juga berbagi pengetahuan yang didapat pada orang lain. Sebagaimana keluarga Minang perantauan, papa saya selalu menampung orang kampungnya yang datang ke Jakarta, tidak peduli mereka itu dari mana dan tidak peduli rumah kami yang sangat kecil. I hate that times. My house is very small, right? But my dad always welcome anybody coming from his village, and that's kind of a culture. A lot of people take advantage of that. Tapi kata papa saya, hidup itu bukan cuma buat diri sendiri. Ada tanggung jawab kita pada orang lain. Tak tahu sudah berapa banyak orang yang jadi alumni rumah papa saya. Datang, menetap, makan, belajar hidup, dapat kerja atau menikah, dan baru keluar rumah. Pengajaran papa saya tidak pernah lembut, selalu keras dan langsung, karena terlalu keras. Tapi anehnya, tetap saja orang datang dan menetap. Di balik semua kekerasan papa saya, ada niat luhur yang tak semua orang punya, yaitu ingin melihat orang lain berhasil. Geblek, ternyata konsep yang saya pakai, the job of a leader is to create another leader, berakar dari cara hidup papa saya. Jauh sebelum saya menjadi CEO, papa saya sudah mencontohkan tidak apa berkorban untuk orang lain agar mereka jadi lebih maju. Papa saya senang berteman, temannya tidak pernah diberi batasan, dari preman sampai pendeta, dari orang kampung sampai bisnisnya. Jangan berteman karena latar belakangnya, kata papa saya, tapi karena bisa saling berbagi. Seperti saya, papa saya anak tunggal. Saudara seibu, seayahnya tidak ada. Tapi saudara karena pertemanannya bejibun, benar-benar menjadi saudara. Bagaimana orang sekeras dan sekasar papa saya bisa berteman banyak? Saya selalu bertanya tentang itu. Jawaban teman-teman papa saya seragam. Ayahmu tidak pernah telat untuk menolong. Jangan ragu untuk menolong orang, kata papa saya. Sejak belia saya diajari berenang dan bersilat oleh papa saya, agar kau tak takut menempuh halangan, katanya. Dari papa saya belajar daya juang. Sesuatu yang didapatkan dengan mudah pula perginya, kata ayah saya. Ketika saya pertama kali berkursi roda, papa saya jungkir balik berpikir bagaimana saya bisa kembali ke kehidupan normal. Bagaimana kamu bisa menikmati hidup kalau kau tak berani keluar rumah dan hadapi semua kesusahanmu, kata papa saya. Hari pertama saya tidak bisa berjalan. 1987, mata papa saya beradu dengan mata saya. Ada percakapan yang tak terucap saat itu. It's not an easy life, son. Saya melihat banyak muara di mata papa saya. Mimpi agar anaknya bisa bersekolah lebih baik dari dia. Mimpi kehidupan yang lebih baik. Tahun 2010, saya membacakan pidato doktoral. Mata papa saya kembali beradu dengan mata saya. Saat itu, seakan kami berucap dalam hati bersama, we did it. Mimpi yang baik itu menular. Mimpi papa saya yang saya mengerti dan pahami dengan baik menjadi energi untuk saya berjuang. Tidak, saya tidak terbebani karena papa saya tidak pernah menyuruh saya menjadi ini atau itu. saya tertular saja untuk berjuang. Ajaran papa saya keras, langsung. Selama bukan barang yang kau dapatkan dari usahamu, tak boleh kau perlakukan seenak kau. Itu salah satu ajaran beliau. Oleh karena itu, jadilah sepatu desainer sendiri, barang yang dibelikan, dirawat sedemikian rupa. Kalau mau naik mobil, harus mencuci mobil. Saat saya mahasiswa, saya bekerja dan bisa beli tape recorder sendiri. Di depan beliau, saya jatuhkan dengan sengaja. Papa saya ketawa. Karena itu adalah hasil saya sendiri. Dalam leadership, ajaran papa saya adalah accountability. Leaders accountable dengan role-nya. No excuse, no blaming others. Leaders lead dengan energi, dengan optimisme, dengan passion untuk membantu orang lain maju, bukan dengan menyalahkan orang lain. Leaders itu accessible, tak ngumpet ketika diperlukan kehadirannya, tak mencari orang lain untuk bicara mengenai tanggung jawab. Leaders itu tidak pernah takut untuk belajar, walaupun dari kegagalan dan kesusahan. Di usia senjanya sekarang ini, papa saya sakit, tak bisa berjalan lagi, tetapi tetap tak mau telat untuk menolong orang. Itulah beberapa pengajaran papa saya yang bisa saya ceritakan saat ini. Hidup kau akan berarti kalau kau bisa berarti bagi orang lain, kata papa saya. Papa saya orangnya keras, keras hati, keras kemauan, keras suaranya. Stay around a little longer, Pak. There are still a lot of people to be out.
So these are the pictures of Handry's father and mom. Yeah, quoting one of the tweet that Handry has already read. One is about leadership, and also his mom, yeah, challenging him on what is actually being a leader is. So I think we can see that there is already a shape of pattern about what is the upbringing about Handry and about what is actually the share of his experiences. One of the part of the thing that was part of it is kursi roda. Yeah.
Oh, that's a long tweet, 170. I don't think that you want to read that.
However, any questions in relation so far to what is Handry's early life and what his experience in shaping him to become what he is right now? From the floor? Yes.
Yes, Pak Handry, I'm tearing, so I just listen what you were just reading. I'm really impressed the way your parents, your fathers, yeah, giving you a strength, not giving up when you can hear me, right?
Sure. Silakan Ibu.
Used to shouting in the class anyway, so I'm very impressed the way your fathers giving you a strength and giving you a motivation so that you did not given up when you first time get a bad news that you no longer can walk and you have to stay in the wheelchair. So I would like really to have your story longer than what you have read here. Just wrote here. How is it? What did he do in day-to-day motivation for your life that making you even stronger and stronger? Facing a lot of difficulty. I'm sure you have facing a lot of difficulties when you first time have that decision from the doctor or whatever that you no longer can walk and you cannot no longer doing some activities as used to be.
You know, it's not like a perfect company, perfect family anyway. It's not like, you know, you can see in the movie. There's always pluses and minuses in every relationship, in every family, and so on, right? And both of my parents came from a village quite far away from the city of Payakumbuh in Sumatra. They don't have a chance to study, so they came to Pekanbaru and then came to Jakarta, start their life there, and I think I was grown up in a family where where I don't have a lot of luxuriosity in terms of, you know, whatever I want, I get it, right? But one thing that I always remember in that family, you know, I can ask anything. I can have a different opinion. Whether it will be approved or not by my parents, that's a different story. But whether I can express what I think, what I want, the answer is always yes. Well, many times. Many times I've always ended up with, I follow whatever that they want, right? But I never thought about afraid of having opinion, even it is different. So with that, my life has a lot of learning from a different way of thinking. So I keep challenging. I can read any books. So I was lucky. I live in a complex PWI, a lot of seniors journalists living as my neighbors, and they have a lot of books. And some books probably, you know, my parents never seeing it. You know, I read about, for example, filsafat ilmu when I was junior high school. I read that white books, buku putihnya ITB when I was a junior high school. I read about Pramudia Anantatur, where at that time nobody can read it. Nobody, not allowed to read it. And you know, a lot of parents say that, no, you cannot read that book. I read that book. And they are okay with that. We have a lot of discussions. So I think the freedom to have a different thought is the luxuriosity that I have. And because they are fighters, they fight a lot in their life. I got lessons a lot as well about fighting. You know, even when I start sitting in the wheelchair, I never get the treatment, special treatment, like, oh, you have to do this, oh, you have to do that. Well, you know, if I make a mistake, they still mad at me. The same way of mad before I sit on the wheelchair. And they trust me. I think that's what you know, I studied about Pygmalion effect when I was a doctoral study.
Look behind you.
Oh,
We speak, our mind is the same.
right.
The tweet.
Right. So, you know, we've been together for
Been together too long. Right?
Yeah, it was me. There's a time where I really love Metallica and wants to be one of them, and I want to have long hair, and you know,
Your hairy glory days, yeah?
my glory days. And you know what? When I talked to my parents about that, you know, I said that I don't want to cut my hair, and they said, really? Yeah, but that's not normal, you know. And IPB, I was studying at IPB at the time, Bogor Agricultural University. You know, not like now. Nobody had a long hair at the time in IPB. And when I come, my hair is very long. And a lot of, you know, my dad asked, hey, is it okay to go like that? And I said, I feel cool. Okay. If you feel cool, I feel cool too. And then I realized, you know, one day they talk each other and then trying to think bagaimana membuat saya bisa memotong rambut, how can I cut my hair later on. So, but that's glory days. That's good. On the right there is Riza. Sutradara Laskar Pelangi. He's not as creative as today when back in the lebih banyak tidurnya daripada bangunnya at the time. So I think that's when I studied Pygmalion effect. You know, I learned about if you have a trust to somebody else and somebody else feels that you are trusting him or her.
and then they will have the energy to perform better. So I think that's the power that I got from my parents. They trust that I can live with this wheelchair. So when I want to go to some places that at a time cannot be Google to check whether it is accessible or not, they just say that if you want to go, you believe you can manage that, go. So I went to a concert of Iwan Fals, I think back in 1998, and in Senayan, apa itu? Istora Senayan, and there is no elevator to go up, right? And I went with two of my friends. Say that, hey, how can we watch this? Let's go up. How? Ya kita gendong Anda, kamu ke atas, berani nggak? Well, if you said gendong, then let's go gendong. So I went to the top of Istora and watched Iwan Fals. And when the show finished, it's really difficult to go down. Karena orangnya udah nggak ada. So, you know, if you trust somebody and they feel the trust, they can do a lot of impossible things. So,
thank you. So, with the time going on, so let's move on to the second chapter of your book. It's about Indonesia and its role on globalization.
yeah.
Share with us about your thought on this.
Yeah, I mean, this is my interesting point. How many of you students? Okay, this will come on your next exam. No, I'm kidding. Indonesia, Pak Wahyu explained very good about comparison in the global world, and I'm very passionate when I talk about this because we are not competitive. And if you are not competitive in this global world, you can only become an object of a globalization. And we are already become an object of a globalization. The 6% of economic growth that we have now, 3.4% come from the consumption, not from the production. What we produce still become the commodity, while others produce the values, which is totally different. And you can see a country like where Pa John lived before, Finland, you know, always in the top 10 of most competitive countries in the world. And even they are one time number one in the most competitive country. And we are still far away on that. So what should we do differently? You know, while the world becomes so global like now, what should we do differently? You know, I realized one thing. To win in this today's environment, what you need is an idea. It's totally idea. When you have a good idea and you can click, and then you become global players. Last year, we, GE, made a competition for 3D printing on a bracket engine holder. So aircraft engine, you see, and then the engine need to be attached to the wing, and that attached equipment need to be designed, right? So nowadays we have the 3D printing design and technology. So GE made a competition about making, you know, how efficient it is, the bracket for holding the machine, and the engine. In the aviation world, the lighter the materials and the design, the better for the whole performance. So more than 50 countries involved on that competition. Ranking 3 of this is an engineer from Sweden. I'm sorry, from UK, Cambridge University. Ranking 2 for this competition is a PhD from Sweden. Ranking 1 is a graduate student from SMK, from Salatiga. They're doing. I tweet about those persons. Amazing. Nobody cares where Salatiga is. Nobody cares what is the diploma of these two kids has. He has an idea. He has an idea. He start designing it. He start the company named Detect with 1.5 million rupiahs capital, and then start to design something. Every time he design, he connect to the web, to the community of engineering and design and everything. And amazingly, he started to have somebody communicate with him and ask him, can you design this, can you design that? Nobody asked what kind of office they have. You know, in fact, their office is only their room, their bedroom. You know, that company now is billion rupees, run by about 6-7 people. Their orders come from Pentagon, come from McLaren Formula One, come from GE. Seriously. So, in the global world, what you need is a good idea and one click. Then you become a global player. Now, the biggest question for Indonesia is whether we can generate creative ideas, original, different ideas. That's the thing that we don't have a lot. We are very good on following only, following others. If this is the path to be successful, and everybody goes there. You know, if you see what happened in the social media, you can see a lot. It's kind of like a picture of us, Indonesians. You know, we follow a lot. Follow the activities a lot. Not creating many unique things. And that's what I keep challenging my team. Sometimes I went too far. If you see, there is nobody from GE in this room, right? Because it's freedom. Hey, I'm giving a speech about my book in IPMI. Anybody wants to come? Good boss, good. We are working. So that's fine. That's fine. Trying to be different sometimes has not a positive impact. So, a lot about the capability of Indonesia. I tweet a lot about the capability about my dreams, about the capability of Indonesian people to become a global players. You need an idea. That's it. You don't need to become an employee of any companies and work abroad to become a global players. No. You need to have an ideas that people buy in a global world. That's the difference. So that's my second part.
Well, I took one quote here from you. It was about Vikings. And I was quite intrigued about it, and you shared about the story about it as well.
Yeah.
And I think if you could share related to innovations, Vikings, why Vikings? Why not Jawa? Why not Sudanese or Balinese?
John can share a lot, I think. He's coming from that Scandinavian country. It's amazing. I went to Sweden 2011, if I'm not mistaken. And I took the time to go to Sweden, to go to Norway, Finland, and Denmark. So I look around, and then I read about their history. They came from Viking. Finland is a different story, right? Scandinavia is 4 countries: Iceland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. And they always say that we are Viking. We are the real Viking, and the other countries say, no, that's not the real Viking. We are the real Viking. And unique, interestingly, it is a small country. Sweden, for example, they are the most innovative countries in the world in terms of patent per capita. So very interesting to see those small countries create a lot of multinational companies in the world. You name it, Volvo, right? What else do you know from Sweden? Scania, IKEA, Skype, right? And then, and from Denmark, you have Lego, right? Mers, Norway, huh? Denmark. So, the more a country has a multinational companies operating, the more competitive the country is. Then we try to look Indonesia. Now, can you name one company that really become a global now? Well, some yes. We are having it. We are already having it. Right? Some of my friends said, Handry, remember, Indomie is all over the world. Which is true, which is true. You can go anywhere and then you can find Indomie. The problem is the one who buy Indomie is Indonesians. So, Indomie is good. Viking, when we look at the story of Viking again, you know, whatever come to our thought, this barbaric people, right? So they cannot do something different. They shouldn't be as advanced as now. But look what they are now. You know, when the other European countries are falling apart, they are still strong. And again, it's because the idea. It's about because being different, because thinking, because trying to innovate something. And innovation is not in our DNA yet, because a lot of theories are trying to explain that. And I remember one of the theories said because the countries within the equatorial areas normally have a lot of things that makes the people are not as competitive as the people who has a lot of, you know, challenge from the natural situation. Well, of course, you go to Ambon, right? You go to Ambon, you see the sea. You can see the fish directly. You don't need to have a high tech to catch the fish. Only with the spears is a very purba technology, right? Very ancient technology. You can just easily get it. You walk about 20 meters to the jungle. You can get carbohydrate easily, sagu. So after you got protein from the fish, you got carbohydrate from sagu. What you do? You play guitar. Right? But unfortunately, the world is not stable. The world is not stagnant. It is competing. So the problem is, if we are not finding a new technology to catch the fish and then get the carbo, you know, all of the fish will catch by others, and then you will no longer have the fish. And I feel very bad seeing one of my relatives in my kampung still use the technology for 400 years, I think, to make the sugar, gula tebu itu, yang jangkit yang seperti ini. You know, nobody think about how to make it more efficient for generations. So that's a challenge. That's our challenge, I think. Okay,
Questions?
yeah, it is very boring if there is no questions. You're still okay?
Students? Yes, sir.
Yes.
If you are talking about the comparative advantage of a product made in Indonesia, I'm pretty sure, like for example, we can see shoes made in Indonesia. We can tell a difference between made in Indonesia and made in overseas. I'm saying that is that there is a lack of design, there is a lack of technologies. I'm just wondering whether there is a secret in technologies that Indonesia could have compared to others, let's say Italy or others.
Right.
Do you know?
I put a lot of hope for the new generation, but we've been very spoiled by probably our government in the last 40 years, probably. You know, Jepara, for example, it's a ukiran handicraft. I hope the situation is different now. I went there back in 2011. I was doing a couple studies about competitiveness of industry in Indonesia. One of that is movie industry, where I did it with Waya. And then another one is the industry of craft in Japan. And then I went there and I see all of the products that they produce are almost similar from one to the others, because those products are pre-ordered. So they don't have the creativity anymore. Have no creativity anymore to create a new design for Jepara furniture. Because it was dictated by the buyer. You have to do like this, you have to make something like this, you have to make something like this, and the government didn't do anything about it. So we become a doers. We can become a very good doers. And you know, look at the shoes, like you are mentioned about the shoes that being produced here. We are the object of a globalization. People come to us and make the product here, not because we are able to make a good product, because we are labor cheap. And then we are doers, and we keep a doers. We keep becoming doers. And now, you know, my company, GE in Indonesia, we are growing about 4 times since 2010. And my mission now to create this Indonesia, GE in Indonesia as a center for ASEAN. So it is very strange to see that 35% of the total revenues of GE in ASEAN is from Indonesia. But 70% of the decision makers and leaders are based in Singapore. So I said that was wrong. Let's bring some people back to Indonesia. We have the terminology called ABS now for a new hire, anywhere but Singapore. And when I try to create a regional job for Indonesian people, I face the difficulties. Our talent, not there. The talent pool is so small, and everybody go there. Everybody go there. Pak Effendi is an HR director for Bakri. He can tell also the same story, or probably the other story about it, how to hire people, how difficult to find a high quality of people. And Singapore, because it is designed for regional since long time ago, any job in Singapore is regional at least, because their market is so small. So they need to know about Indonesia, Thailand, and everything, right? Indonesia, sometimes one person handle about $300 million US business here, but still become a local team, and cannot be compared. Oh, he has no experience of doing regional jobs. So that's one of the challenge that we have, and I think a lot of young people try to do something different now, and I love it. You know, they come with the community movement, right? They are not only study from the school, but they try to share and have a discussion within their community. Gerakan komunitas, ada, you know, there is a community of akademi berkebun, komunitas of akademi berbagi, komunitas of many things. And if you go to Twitter, you will see those kind of communities, and it's amazing to see how they start thinking differently. So I think that's what I can share. Yes, Mike.
Gentlemen there in the back, then we can have you back.
I'm Aris, alumni of 2000. It's interesting to talk about your personal life background and Indonesia becoming less and less competitive. We all know that Indonesia as a country, we have very few real talent, and one of them may be you, and clearly you keep setting a very successful career. This is a bit of a personal question. Becoming a CEO of GE or whatever, higher regional or global, is you automatically, or you also think of becoming a leader of Indonesia? Because we really need a leader make a difference. And my observation, a good leader mostly work in the private, it's not in the, but we need an Indonesian good leader. But what is your personal purpose of life, knowing that Indonesia is getting less competitive?
I don't run for president.
That's very pity. Many good people are then Indonesian become.
No. I mean, we are talking about personal, right? So we are talking. You know, this is my thought. Some people have their own task, and people will do their. You know, I believe people will do something that they, number one, really like to do. Number two, believe this is their best. I like campus, and I feel good when I'm in campus. So I'm choosing the road of developing leaders and, you know, share the things through education things. So when, you know, I hope that I can finish this role quickly, and I go back and teach because I love teaching. That's and not because I don't want to have a battle in politics, for example, or running for something. I choose a different battle. I realize that leaders, the good leaders, choose their own battle. They will not go to the battle that they don't know whether they have the capability of having that battle or not. And a lot of mistakes happen on the leadership because of that things. At least now. I don't know, 2 months from now when we have to do this. No, I'm kidding.
I had a hunch that somebody would ask about the president or candidate, so I took your tweet here. But it relates, actually, yeah, with the followership as well. Since we've been talking also about leadership, what's your thought about followership?
Yeah, I mean,
Pak, nanti saya masuk ke Bapak ya.
people when talk about leadership always think about leaders, right? That's why the course always titled leadership courses. Right? Nobody wants to go to the followership. And in fact, only one followership courses that I know officially exists in the management school, which is from Barbara Kellerman in Harvard Business School, in Harvard Kennedy School, and that's one of a great courses, and the queue is very long to get into that course. But Professor Barbara happened to be one of my mentors as well. I communicate a lot with her. Always say that followership is still under study. Not many people want to study this because they feel to become a good leaders, you need to possess a lot of leadership attribute that are not related to the followers. Well, you can be a good leader if you are a good followers. And whatever your title is, you are a followers. CEO, you report to the board and stakeholders, right? And the board reports to the people as well. And how to become a leaders without knowing how to become a good followers. And a lot of us still study about leadership, about what kind of a charisma that I can get, whether should I riding a horse or not, or something like that, which is...
Or by path.
I didn't say that. and that was many times neglect about followers. I was lucky, my dissertation is about followership. So when I get this role, and the first thing that I do as a CEO of a G Indonesia is ask all of my team to sit down together and say that, what do you want me to do? I'm here. But never ever think that you can become successful by secret me. Because if you secret me, I secret you back. And we'll finish the day with secret-secretan all the time. And that's not good. I said that we have to collaborate. What do you want me to do? I'm here to listen. But then, not many times you can do all of your activities as a leader just listening, right? One time, you need to make decision. I asked my boss, email, about making decision. And, he said that 5 times, at least 5 times a year, I make my own decision. He said that I listen enough from all of you, thank you. It's a good input, but this is my decision. If you do that more than 5 times a year, 10 times, 15 times, a lot of good people around you will leave you because they feel they are not trusted, their idea is not heard, and those kind of things. But if you never do that, or just do it 1 or 2 times a year, your legitimation as a leader is gone. People will say that, don't worry about him, he will never decide. You will ask all of the people first. And then you know, the process of leadership is not working well. So followers, treat them as somebody who will make you better. It's not the one that will make your job easier actually. Because a lot of us thinking, wah, ini followers enak gua nih. Just give all of the job to them, and then I can have a lot of time for playing golf and so on. That's what's wrong. If you create a good followers, they will give a good influence to you to make you a better leader. But if you have a bad followers, and I define bad as a follower who just say good things about you, who are afraid talking to you, who are not giving you input and feedback. If you have all of those bad followers, the result is you just, you know, marah-marah di Instagram, right? Because nobody tell you the right things. You feel that this is the right things to do. So, you know, I am a believer on a process of influence. I'm a believer that leadership is not a title. Leadership is not about, you know, the boxes on your organizational structure. I was thinking it is leadership. I was wrong. Leadership is all about influence. Whether you are here, or you are here, or you are here, if you are able to influence others, and then you show the capability to become leaders. If you are good followers, one day you will lead. At least you will lead yourself. Is it?
Yes, sir. Ya, terima kasih Pak. Saya mau bicara dalam bahasa Indonesia aja. Jadi saya dulu pernah tinggal memang di Australia Pak. Waktu itu Perdana Menterinya Malcolm Fraser. Dia pernah bilang, itu sangat dikenal di Australia, life wasn't meant to be easy. Jadi memang kita tuh harus bekerja dan sleep up Pak. Nah, dalam konteks Indonesia, apa yang Pak Handry bisa sampaikan kepada kita dari analisa Pak Handry, kenapa Indonesia itu menjadi negara yang konstruktif, bukan produktif? Apakah ini karena leadernya yang bermasalah, atau polisinya yang bermasalah, atau alam politiknya yang nggak baik? Nah ini apa sebenarnya? Dan setelah itu, tolong berikan solusinya apa Pak? Ini menjelang kita mau pilpres.
No, I never tweet about politics. So that's why, you know, if you ask me about what is the situation of Indonesia, what is the recipe and those kind of things, I always said that from the point of view of management, there is no general recipe for problems. Every company, every issues always has, you know, different way of handling it. What we learn in this class as an AP students or wherever you study is the way of thinking. You cannot apply whatever happened in Samsung, Sony, or any cases directly to the case that you are facing when you are working. No. What you can do is the way of management thinking. You know, you structurize the problem, you see what should be done, what are the options, and then make decisions. So, Indonesia, I think it's all about the people. We need to start with the better education processes. And we cannot blame if our education systems overall is not good. Because if we blame, and then the next generation will not getting better too. We need to make something different. I mean, the current generation, I'm so proud, they take a different road by having, you know, a community activities, by having their own discussion, by trying to have a mentors. I got about 100 emails every month from students all over Indonesia, asking questions, you know, asking sponsors as well, of course. But a lot of them have a good things, have a good point to discuss. And I open my email. I open my email to anybody, and I try to answer it as best as I could. So, what can we do? Have a better education system. Share something to a lot of people. You know, we still have a lot of people in remote areas probably that will choose because they got an envelope of 100,000 rupees, which, you know, they don't think who to choose. What is my political view? It's not on the book of sharing. So it remains my secret.
Well, okay, it's getting hotter at the end of the time. Yeah, sure, do you mind? You have time? Okay, let's go with Pak.
Uh-oh.
Pak Handry.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned about discrepancies, disparities maybe, about our competitiveness. Yeah, you focused on the people. That might be the problem. You focused on the education. That might be the problem. Yes, we always hope to educate more and more of our people, train more people. That's part of your objective, I believe, in being head of a very big multinational corporation. But if we look at where we stand today, say at IPMI, we are educating management studies. We see a lot of our friends coming in from all over the discipline. You know, engineers with a diverse background in their life with their undergrad titles, but coming here to learn about management, and then sometimes forget about their original profession. They want to be managers and forget how to be a very good technician or be creative in their profession or what they learn all their life. Is that, you think, part of our problem? You know, changing this profession to be bosses rather than be very good technicians.
Very, very good question, Pak. I mean, you cannot become a boss instantly. There is no boss idol. I think I was thinking that I can do that, but you know, fast track and try to get everything. Well, you know, when you graduated from business school, you feel that you know everything, right? First thing that you want to do, you want to have a consultancy firm. That's very standard. Feels that, hey, I've done this case, why don't we have a consultant company? So everybody wants to do that, and very rare ended up with that, or at least sustain the company until now. So, you know, management for me is a way of thinking. It is not a road for you to become a CEO, in my opinion. If you learn about MBA, if you graduate from MBA, then you can become a CEO. I don't think so. Probably statistics show a lot of, you know, relationship between those two. But management is the way you start formulating of thinking. When I graduated from IPMI, one thing that I learned, and I think that's the best learning that I've ever got, is a structure of why, what, how. Structure of thinking like that, assessing problem like that, communicating problem like that. And even if you are, you know, engineer, accountant, whatever, legal, lawyers, whatever your background is, you need that kind of things. That's what you need to learn. If you want to learn more about management, what you need to do is go deeper on the journals. That's my suggestion. Go to the journals, you know, not only the case study, because case study is helping you to think. It is not a recipe for all of the problem. When you take the PhD or doctoral study, you start to be more down to earth, grounded, understand if the case like this, then there is a root theory behind that. A theory of decision making, for example. you know, we learn about in the case of any cases, if I can remember, a case of Samsung goes to China, and there is a discussion about making a decision whether they need to go to China now and invest a lot and compete with the Japanese, or they just play, you know, low like what they are trying to do now. So in the discussion room, in the decision-making room, one person and then try to influence others for decision-making, and they decide something wrong, which is they just go for a low end. They are hit by the local companies in there. That process is called groupthink. Those processes have a theory rooted on it. And then when you learn, you know, in the PhD studies or in the journals and everything, you get that. The groupthink will be implemented to many cases after that. So it's very interesting. If you are interested on doing the management and try to become an expert in management, you go from the MBA school, which is, you know, a portrait of cases, and start to build the way of thinking of how to make decisions. And then when you take a deeper study, you go to the theoretical things about the human behavior and human interactions, which is a base of management. So, and that's the part of my fourth chapter actually about the management things. So, I agree with you, Pak. I mean, the point is, jangan ikut-ikutan. Don't just follow the trend. You know, we are lack of engineers, for example. Lack of engineers. And if you want to compare to India, and then we are really in a deep problem. Because India has a lot of good engineers now. And they are all over the world, and they are speaking English. So one of my vision is to create GE Engineering Center that will have about 500 engineers every year. We train them for 2 years, and after that, we deploy them all over the world. Because in GE Oil and Gas itself, up to now, the needs for engineers in around the world of our operation is 7,000 engineers per year. Not to mention about other companies. If you combine with the giant of oil and gas and others, you know, the needs is very high. Who supply them? Who supply them now? China, number 1. India, number 2. Middle East, number 2. And then we have another, you know, the others. So, and then let's talk about accountant, for example, finance. I spent 6 months to find a good CFO. And that mistake actually, because I tried to be nationalistic. And I just want to choose Indonesians. Out of the 7 applicants, the best applicants that I have, 4 of them are Indians. And they are very good. And I did something wrong because I tried to be favoritism, tried to find Indonesian CFO. So my boss told me at the end, Handry, that's what's wrong. You know, I respect your willingness to have an Indonesian to be there, but you need to be fair also for the processes. I said, yes, I was wrong. This is the realities of a globalization. You cannot wait. I think that's the answer to your question.
Okay, we have 2 more. One at the back and one here. Bapak yang di belakang dulu. And I think then I have to conclude because I was already reminded we are already passing about 10 minutes, Pak. Silakan.
Okay, my name is Hari. I'm an alumni for Executive January 2006. This is Malalatu. I think you know. Well, my question is very simple. I think Pak Handry, now you are, I would say you are the most outstanding alumni for you, right? So I just want to know.
That's scary, Pak. Actually, that's very scary, and I don't think that's the case.
My question is, how big the influence of IPMI to your personal and professional life? I know, I think you are appointed as the CFO of GE Indonesia after you probably finish your PhD at UI. But before that, also you study in IPB, right? But the time between, basically, I believe IPMI has a lot of influence to you. But well,
All right.
I want to know the influence.
Should I sell? You know, I believe when we go to the school, I believe on three things that we need to learn. Three things. Number one is about networks. So when you come to a school, you need to have networks. If you just come, study, get a higher score, graduate, it will not guarantee that you will be, you know, working in a good place. Find a good networks. Every time during my time, 1996, we had like this. We had a lot of event here, and a lot of students as well. But now it's more student, I think. But I always try to make a connection with other classes. Even I'm a full time at the time. Feraldi is on the executive class. I try to introduce myself, have a friend with him, and his college. It's very useful because they introduce me to their friends as well. So I also have foreign students in the class. One Swedish student, and she's working in the local company now for about what, almost 20 years, almost 15 years. So very interesting to see, you know, the networks that you can choose. Two of my classmates working in the U.S. One of them worked for GE, and then she is the pricing manager for GE Transportation. One of my classmates, he was the PricewaterhouseCoopers at the time, and then he's working in Korea now as a CFO of a Korean company. So how can we get that? We get it from the network. So the more IPMI provide a network, the more you have companies like Telkom, Gramedia, or others, you know, here, and then have a discussion with you, not only in the class, I think. The more you gain a lot. So that's number one that IPMI gives. Number two is way of thinking. I think what I learned for, I don't know, 155 cases for at least 155 cases, it's a way of thinking. I learned a lot. I mean, like I told you, the output from me when I graduated from me is a thinking of why, what, how. It's so simple. But think how many times you practice that when you are facing a problem and deal with issues. Even my team, I keep telling them, why, what, how. If you have that, the communication will be quicker and simple. The more, and in Indonesia, we love to go around and around and around, right? We never, not even touch. What is the point? So the more we are good on that, the better you are. So case study and way of thinking, I think that's number two that I got. And last one is a process of learning. You know, having friends, sit down. It's a rhythm of learning. If you are studying not in the university, not in the class, not in an institution, that's what you miss. You know, however diligent you are, however good you are, I will go home belajar sendiri. I will learn by myself. I will read all the books. You know, I will allocate my time. Come on, you can't do that. I tried. The result is 6 years for PhD student. Almost they go, almost drop out. So going to the school, having you a rhythm of learning, then you will start, you know, have the time to read, have the time, you know, even sleeping. I remember even when I was sleeping, I remember about the case study at the time. And all of the questions, you know, case studies, it's good, right? Mr. So-and-so sitting in the window and thinking about the future of their companies and those kind of things, right? And suddenly Mrs. So-and-so come to then they have a discussion, right? So I still remember those kind of pictures. See how bad the influence to my so those three things. I think
And whatever universities, I'm glad that I was graduated from IPMI, but whatever universities, you know, you have to see from those three things, I think, to be able to gain the most of it. Thank you.
Our last question. Silakan Bapak.
Terima kasih Pak. My name is Handry Satriago. I'm the first batch graduation from IPMI. And I hope our meeting today will realize my dream for 12 years in innovation. What is my innovation? Is on the recycling of the palm. Palm is the palm oil mill aprons. This paper was published by Arisuda Center in 2008, and some CPO company already implemented in Sumatra. But unfortunately, they didn't contact the PLN to sell their surplus electricity. And just on the 11th January 2040, one of the CPO in the Belitung Island, they sell it to PLN, and they said the production of cost electricity only 975 per kWh. That will be only 31% of the load.
How can I help?
Pardon?
How can I help?
You can help me now because I understand GE is announced to invest in Indonesia in biomethane in total $1.4 billion, especially in biomethane. And I have wrote about that, also submitted to Arisuda, and I got awarded on the 12th of April.
Congratulations.
So I hope, but it is not for electricity. What I'm writing is for the LPG, liquefied biomethane gas, because we produce it 1 million tons every year from 806 CPO mills around Indonesia. That's what I mean. My dream will come true if you can help me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll do my best.
Great. Thank you very much. So just to close.
Can I close?
Yes. Yes, please. Connecting the dots.
Go ahead.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it seems that always when it's an exciting discussion, time flies very fast. But as you see the screen, Handry's account Twitter. So without time, dimensions, or place or location, the discussion can always be continued at any time, anywhere in the world. So hopefully that the discussion today should not be ended by this session, but can be continued further on. As Handry has mentioned about sharing, he will always be able to share his thoughts on many things as well. Hopefully we will also be learning from all of you from today, and looking forward that the discussion can continue in terms of learning. So with that, I'd like to thank you for everyone's participation and attention. It has been a very fruitful almost 2 hours. Hopefully it can be continued for further time in our lives. So with that, I will close, and then closing Handry will be another chapter from this book.
Because this is book closing, jadi harus ditutup dengan book juga ya. Saya ingin membacakan paragraf terakhir dari apa yang saya tulis di sini. Setiap orang punya waktunya sendiri untuk berbahagia, dan kebahagiaan terbesar tersebut bisa datang kapan saja tanpa perlu direncanakan, serta hadir dalam wujud yang sangat sederhana. Pada suatu sore, saya sedang makan bubur ayam di pinggir jalan. I love bubur ayam. Tiba-tiba seorang yang tidak saya kenal menghampiri saya dan berkata, "Pak Handry, Anda Pak Handry ya? Saya pernah membaca sharing Bapak di Twitter. Terima kasih ya Pak. Saya belajar dari sharing Bapak tersebut. Saat itu juga, saya merasa bubur ayam tersebut menjadi makanan yang paling enak di dunia. Saya merasakan kebahagiaan. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Mr. Waya and Pak Handry. Really, such a touching discussion. I feel what Vienna felt, mixed feelings. So we would like to say our gratitude to Pak Waya and Pak Handry. We would like to invite Professor John Gumela to present the token of appreciation to Mr. Handry Satriago. Yes, probably you will have to say a word or something.
Handry, this is my second time listening to a couple of hours with you. I remember last time also we talked about the ship, the 197 captains, and now it's the cabin and the globalization, about the followership, about the management, and also your ICME experience. For me, it's been less than 2 years here. But I always get to hear from people like yourself about how great this place has been. And I was especially touched by what you mentioned about the three things, about the networking, about the pedagogy, perhaps that's the word I'm using, and perhaps the way of thinking, and that being the thing that shaped me. It's been a real gateway for us to think that we are doing probably the right things if we continue on the education journey. I'm even most inspired to hear that you chose the road of education and management to be your journey, to go and influence the word, to borrow your word, saying leadership is influence. And we have a lot of people that you have influenced today. And you have to influence us, and you have to influence me. Because every day we need to hear, like you said, all the things, actually go out there and do something. Not just hear about it like this one. I believe you mentioned the word why, what, and how. So every day you mentioned that it's not just about chapter or reader. Yeah? All of us sitting here, every one of us, we have to go out there and ask every day, make why, and the what, and the how. And have the courage to push it through. And I want to borrow the word, what you say, our greatest alumni, yeah? Yeah? And I just want to end with one word of our ICME transformation. And I'm going to quote Ibu Yenna for this one because she's hiding in the back as usual, as you know, style, yeah? We call it mind shaping. IPMI. For inspiring pioneering, but the M for mind shaping. And we really would like to seek your help continuously to mind shape the next generation of Indonesian leaders, because you yourself mentioned that the past success is not necessarily equal to future success. And I was moved by that. And you mentioned by saying that about the example of the 4 Indians, nothing personal for Indian or Indonesian, that the reality is your own boss said that if you want to really lead the world, the globalization of the world and internationalization is real whether you like it or not. And we're going to make that decision. And I was really humbled to hear you say that when you talk to your boss, that you said you were wrong. And I think sometimes us, we need to make the right decision, even not think about saving face or losing face, and move the companies forward. So they're the things that moved me and really inspired me, and I want to take that on everyday decision making, your words, what I do. So it's a great privilege for me to present this very humble token and to keep seeking your inspiration for us. And I hope through our social media that we could link with your sharing so our students, alumni and others can follow you officially. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah, but I have a museum of this actually.
Photo, please. And one more part. I think you noticed the. Thank you very much. Thank you. And okay, we take a photo.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you Pak Handry, thank you Pak Waya. So we have wrapped our discussion today. The snack is still provided, and the good news is Gramedia providing 20% discount for all the books outside. So go grab your wallet and buy a lot. Until we meet to the next cup of sharing. Yang ingin meminta tanda tangan bisa berbaris barangkali, bapak-bapak, ibu-ibu, silakan berbaris.
Oh,